Hello and welcome to this channel. In this video, I will be showing you how I model buildings, rather how I model my projects in Revit. So if you're ready, let's get started. When you open Revit version 2019, this is the screen that you're going to see. The very first screen before you get to open any project or start working on any project. At the top here, we have some tabs that we'll get to discuss when we start creating our project. But I would like us to take a look at these thumbnail images that we are seeing here. So that at the top here, we have projects, and these thumbnail images here are showing the recent projects that had been opened. So at the bottom of these title projects, you have options for opening a Revit project file and options for creating a Revit project file, which is a new one, and options for creating a new template. And in this case, is you are able to create a construction template, an architectural template, a structural template, and a mechanical template. Below that, we have families, and families are like the individual components that form part of our building model. So these are the things that we bring together as assemblies and components to form the project now. So in this case, here we have a room tag, a sample architecture family that had been opened, a sample structure family. In this case, this is a truss that had been opened, and a sample systems family that had been recently opened in Revit. So under families here, you have options for opening a Revit family, that is an existing one, and for creating a custom component to use in your project, that's a new Revit family, and an option for creating a new conceptual massing model. To the right side here, you have the various resources that will be very useful for you as you work in Revit. So you have options for, or other links to getting to know what are the new features in Revit. You have offline help, you have videos on what's new, you have essential skills videos, you have additional videos, these may be tutorials. You have a link to the Autodesk App Store and a link to the Revit community, which is a place where you can ask questions and share information about Revit with your peers. Below here, you have a thumbnail for a video tutorial that is getting started video. It's going to show you how you can get started working in Revit. So when we are done with that explanation, I want us to create a new project. And in this case, we'll go to where we have the list of projects. Below here, you have an option for new. Click on new. When you click on new, you are going to get this pop-up or dialog that is asking you for parameters that it is going to use to create a new project for you. So this one requires you to select a template file. If you click on this drop down, you'll have options for selecting none, a construction template, an architectural template, a structural template, and a mechanical template. So if you are interested in creating a mechanical project, or rather you are working on something to do with the mechanical engineering project, you're going to have a mechanical template in place. If you are working on a structural engineering project, you're going to select a structural template. If you're working on an architectural project, like our case here, you are going to have an architectural template open. If you are a contractor, you are preparing construction drawings, you're going to have a construction template in place. In our case, we'll click on architectural template, and then below here, you want to make sure that you have selected create a new project, because we are interested in creating a new project, not a project template. When you're done with that, you click OK, and Revit is going to start creating a new project for you. So our new project is already created, and we have a blank white space here, which is going to be our workspace. So these 4 arrows that you can see here, they are our elevation markers, we'll be talking about elevations later in the tutorial. So this is where you do all your modeling, all your drawings, all your annotations, and everything to do with the project. To the left side of that, above here, you have properties, which is going to be displaying the properties of the various design items that we'll be selecting. In this case, we are on the floor plan, and you can see here properties that are active here are properties for the floor plan, stuff to do with the scale, display model, and visibility, and all those. Below that, we have this project browser, which shows us the structure of our project. In this case, we have our project structured in terms of floor plans, we have ceiling plans, we have building elevations, we have legends, schedules, sheets, families, and groups. So that's it. So we go to the top here. We are going to see frequently used operations such as options for opening a project, saving our project, synchronizing and modifying settings. We have the undo and redo commands. We have print, measure, and all these ones that you can look at on your own time and see what these icons mean. At the bottom, we have the various tabs that we are going to be looking at, and we'll be using most of this in our project. So in this case, the very first one here is an architectural tab, and this one is going to allow us to create the various architectural elements for our project, starting with walls, doors, windows, and components, that is the various design elements. For example, under components, we'll have stuff like mechanical elements, sanitary ware, furniture for the building, etc. We have columns, we have roof, ceiling, and floor, curtain system, curtain rod, mullions. We have circulation stuff, circulation items to do with railing, ramp, and stairs. We have model items, model text, model line and group. We have room and area, openings, datum, and workplace. The next, we have the structure tab, which is going to give us access to the structure, connection, foundation, reinforcement, and the model groups, allowing us to put in place beams, structural walls, columns, floors, trusses, brace and beam systems, connections for all those, isolated foundations like foundations for the columns, wall and slab, reinforcements, and all those. We have a tab that deals with everything to do with the steel structural systems. And we go here to systems, which here we have a group dealing with heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. So everything to do with ducts, duct placeholders, air terminals, fabrication parts, all those. Mechanical items, piping and plumbing, things to do with pipes, electrical stuff, and all those. So this is where we have the services engineers coming in. So we have the insert tab, which deals with giving us options to link and import data from external libraries and from external files. We have a tab, annotate tab, which gives us options for putting in place dimensions, details, text, tags, color fields, and symbols. Then we have analyze tab for doing analysis. Here we have things like analytical model commands. We have analytical model tools. We have a group to do with spaces and zones, reports and schedules. Here you can extract schedules from your model. This is for checking systems and energy optimization. We have a massing and site tab. You have a collaborate tab. You have a view tab, which is going to allow you to switch between the various views. You have a manage tab for managing your data and linking with other apps such as Dynamo Player, that is for visual programming. We have add-ins for linking Revit with third-party plugins that are going to help us in modeling our project. And the last tab here we have is the modify tab, which is going to allow you to do modification to any of the design elements that we'll be creating in our project. For example, you have options for cutting, geometry for joining, for demolishing, for moving, for aligning, offset, copy, rotate, just the basic modification commands that you will find in any design software. So as at that, I just want you to pause this video, take a look at the various tabs that we have looked at, right from architecture to modify tab, and get to familiarize yourself with the various tools that are there. And from there, we can now start creating our building model. So I want us to begin by setting the building levels, rather putting the building levels in place. So in our case, we are modeling a simple residential project, which is only going to have the ground floor and a roof. So in our case, we are going to have like 3 levels in place. So we'll have a level for the ground floor, which is going to be at 0 elevation height. We'll have a level for the ceiling, because we want to have our ceiling plans in place, and we will also have a level for the roof, which is going to be at an elevation of like let's say sill to story height of 3000 millimeters. That's 3 meters. And from there we can now start creating the project. So I would suggest we go to the project browser. So under project browser, click on one of these elevations, and that is going to open up the levels that I was talking about. And I want the very first level to be renamed to ground floor level. So I'm going to click here, double click. That is going to allow me to rename it. And then I'll select that and write ground floor. So our ground floor is going to be at 0. Click on OK. Our ground floor is going to be at 0. And then from where we have the ground floor, the next floor is going to be our ceiling level, which I suggest we'll have that at 2800 mm, and we'll click on this and rename it to ceiling level. So that is going to be our ceiling level. Click outside and click on yes to rename the corresponding views. We have ground, ceiling, and the next is going to be our now roof. Yes, roof level. So back to architecture tab, and here we have the level. So from where we have the ceiling level, this one is going to be like, let's say, to get 3000 we'll have 200. So here we have, so go to architecture, click on level. From here we have 200. Should be having 200 like that. Then you can just move it to this point. Here, click to place it. Select that. So you can be able now to click on that point. Then you can elongate it up to where we have that. Then, because this is now our roof level, and us to rename it to roof level. Enter and click on yes to have that renamed. Take a look at the project browser. You are going to see an update in terms of the floor plan. So we have a ceiling level, we have a ground floor level, we have a roof level, and a site. These are the ones that have been created. Our elevations, building elevations, remain the same. We have an east, north, south, and west elevation. So we are done with building levels. So these ones are going to appear both in our 3D and all the corresponding elevation views. So if you look at the north, you have the same, south as the same, and west elevation as the same. So let's, because we are not using these ones, just close them and go back to the ground floor. If you want to look at what we have in the 3D view, you go up here under view, you have 3D view, click. You can use this flywheel to rotate, orbit like that, and you can see we have those building levels set in place. So go back to the floor plan view, click to exit, click to close the 3D window, and then we want to start by putting in place a construction grid. So under the architecture tab, at the end here we have a grid. So if you click on grid, here under properties, you're going to have the properties for this grid shown. If you click on edit type, this is going to bring you to this point where you are now able to customize the properties of this grid element that we have put in place. So you can see the family here is a system family, which is a grid, and the type, if you click on the drop down here, you're going to see the type. Already we have 6.5 mm bubble selected. So you have options for a 6.5 mm bubble custom gap and a 6.5 mm bubble gap options. So I want to use the ones that are already selected. Down here we have type parameters. So you have a parameter and a value. You have graphics here, which we are looking at. So here is the simple. We have a M grid, head circle. We are going to see that when we place the grids. We have control for like segment weight and color, segment pattern, and non-plan simple views. So we are good with that. So just click OK. Then we'll create our first grid here, which is going to be a vertical one. We have like 4 grids from named A, B, C, and D with the specific spacings. So here I'm going to start with the very first one, which is going to be our first grid element. So let's say click away from that. You see this is our grid 1, and I want this to be A. So double click and type A. That is our very first grid. And what I'm going to do is get back to architecture tab again, activate grid, and then I want to create a grid with an offset from this at 2400 mm, and this is going to be my grid B. Just select it, select, modify, then extend it to the other. So that is our grid B. Place it there. I want to create another vertical grid, which is going to be our grid C, and that one is 1200 mm from grid B. So click on this. We'll have an offset of 1200 mm, and here you have your grid C in place. Then you can be able to select it to modify, and then you click on that up to where we have the other ones. So you're moving it up to that point, and then we'll adjust this from this end up to there. It snaps. So we have our grid A, B, and C in place. So I also want to create a grid D, 3600 mm from where we have grid C. So yeah, it's going to go up to 3600. Enter. So our grid D is going to be created, and then click to place it. And that's our vertical grids. We have our vertical grids in place. So just before we continue with that, let's try to set the units. So we have a command UN, which is going to open the project units, and under project units, here I want to select my discipline to be, so I'm seeing energy, piping, electrical, HVAC, structural, common. I'm not seeing architectural discipline. So let's say I have common there. The length is going to be measured in millimeters. My area is going to be in square meters. My volume is going to be in cubic meters, which is I'm okay with that. We'll have my angles in degrees, slopes in degrees. Currency is going to be what? Rounding in 2 decimal places. Unit simple is not indicated. I'm in Kenya. I would like to use Kenya shillings, but it's not here. So I think with none will be okay. Click on OK. Mass density is going to be kilograms per cubic meter, which is okay. And decimal simple or digit grouping will look like what we have here. So I think these settings are okay for my project. They actually represent the units that I use for my actual projects. So click on OK. We have that set. We can get back to working on our grid lines. So before we continue, I want to confirm whether the spacing that we have here is in the right spacing. So I'll go to annotate, and dimensions here, I have aligned dimension. If I click on that, I'll be able to put some dimensions in place, so I can be able now to reference from that point and know that what I put in place here is the correct thing. So those are now the construction grids for the vertical ones. We have like other horizontal ones, and they run from number 1 to number 10. So we want to get back to the architecture tab, activate the grid, and then start creating our horizontal grid lines. So let's say we have our first grid here, and modify this so that we have this starting at number 1, and then the next from there is spaced at 1500. So just click or rather move your cursor up to that point until it snaps. Then you can be able to type the spacing as 15, and you have your next. You have the other one the same as 15, and you can place the next one there. Grid number 4 is spaced at 1100 from number 3. So here 1100 from number 3, and you place it there. You have grid number 5 spaced at 2000 millimeters from number 4. Still click and place it there. You can be able to use the escape key here, so that that gives you an option of moving away from the grid that you placed, and you can now be able to work on the next one. So grid number 6 is spaced at 1400 from number 4. So we have 1400 like that. Number 7 is also 1400 from 6. So 1400, enter from 6, escape. Number 8 is 1900 from that one, like that. Number 9 is 1100 from this. So just the same process. takes some time, but I'm doing this because this is supposed to be a beginner tutorial, and I want you to grasp every concept and get to do everything step by step without having to look for shortcuts. So our last grid here is spaced at 600 mm from the other one. So we have our grid system in place, but if you look at these ones, they are very elongated, and I want to be able to just reduce that up to a certain point, like there. That will be okay. Yes, and then we can also use annotate align the dimension to get to confirm whether these horizontal grids are spaced at the correct spacing that I want us to use for the project. So click to place it. First one is 1500, 1511, 2000. Yeah, so that is the spacing. That is the spacing that we have. And I'll be able to maybe share this project file. I'll look for a way of sharing this project file so that you can download it and follow along with while you're working on your own project. So as we go on with our project, I'm just pointing out that just because you are seeing me use these construction grids, that does not mean that this is the only procedure that you have to follow when you're working in Revit. But for me, I find that these construction grids make it easy for me to be able to place the load-bearing walls for my model, because what I'm planning to do is to have at the intersection of these grids will have my load-bearing, let's say, columns, and running through these grids will have my load-bearing walls. So that's just a process that I have developed for myself, which works conveniently for me. And I'm hoping that as we continue working on this project and as you continue practicing on your own, you are going to develop your own ways of conveniently working on your own project in Revit. So as we go on, that should be the case, that we should be aware that I'm showing you my process, not to say that this is the only way that you can follow, or rather this is the only procedure that you can use to come up with a building model in Revit. I've just noticed that we had not saved our project, and we might need to save our project so that in case anything happens, we are not going to lose our data and the process that we have gone through. So I'll go to File up here, and we have an option of Save, and it's going to open this File Explorer. And I'm going to locate, let's say in my desktop, I have files, Revit files, Revit project files, and I want to call this Revit 2019 tutorial. So it's going to be, the project name is Revit 2019 tutorial. That is the project name. And then we have the files of type is going to be a project file, which is going to have a .rvt file extension. So you have other .rte file extension, which is for a template file. In this case, is a Revit project file. So it's going to be a .rvt file extension. And then we click on Save. And you're going to see the name of that project is going to appear at the top here, where we have Autodesk Revit 2019. Right now we have Revit 2019 tutorial floor plan, ground floor. And that is because we have opened the plan. Rather, we have opened the project and we are working on the ground floor plan. So that's it with that. I want to start putting in place the walls, and I'll start with the external load-bearing walls. So under the architecture tab here, I'll click on wall, and when that is activated, in the properties panel, so this is the properties panel. We have these options or other properties. Right now we have a base wall, generic 200 mm selected. If you click on this drop down, you're going to have these types of walls. We have a generic 150 mm masonry wall. We have generic 200 mm wall. We have generic 200 mm field. So these are the various predefined wall profiles that we can use. And if we want to create our own, we can just select one of these and then make some adjustments. In this case, I want to select generic and then click on edit type, which is going to take me to where we have type properties for this system family, a basic wall, and the other types are available on clicking on this drop down arrow here, which is going to show all these types that we have here. In this case, let's say you want to have an exterior wall. Let's just have the generic that we have, like that. But in this case, under type parameters, we have the structure, and we have stuff like function of this wall. We have some parameters for graphics, materials and finishes, analytical data. We have identity data. We have just that. So under structure, if you click on edit, you're going to see the assembly in place. This gives us the sample height of the wall and the material compositions. Here, where we have the exterior side and the interior side. So here we have the core boundaries in place. You will have to now place your materials in these layers here. And when you're done, you have options for accepting the customizations that you will have done. So in this case, let's say we are not changing anything. We'll come back to that later in the project. We'll click on OK. And then click on OK here. Get back to our project. And then start placing our walls. Because that wall already is selected. But before we do that, I think here we have, in terms of height, we have a height which is we should be connected, I think, because as we have the case here, so the base constraint of this wall is our ground floor, right? But the top constraint is not indicated. And I want to change this top constraint to, let's say, the roof level. What that means is, let's get to like an elevation viewpoint here, and I'll show you what that means. So all we are saying is, this wall that we are creating, top constraint is going to be here, which is, we've said, roof level. So that is the top part where that is linked. And then the bottom constraint is going to be your ground level. Thus, it's going to be running from ground to roof level. And the height will be 3000 millimeters. So if we get back to that, we have our wall selected, ground floor as the base constraint, and the top constraint is up to roof level. So that is in order. Our wall runs from grid C1 here. C1 is this up to here, and then moves all the way up to A9. So A9 is here, back to C9 there, then moving all the way back to where we started, like that. Again, we have an extension from this point up to that point of the same wall, and we have another wall running from C8 through D8 up to D2. C8 is here up to there, D2 is here, then this runs back to that point. So those are our external walls. I want to have a small wall here extending by 100, and I want to have another wall here extending by 100. So if you want to modify anything, just click on this and move it towards that side. So we'll have like there, we'll have 200. That will be part of what I'm going to use as a pier. The same with this, I'm going to click on it, pull it outwards to 200, and also pull this one outwards to snap at some point, at that point. And those are now going to be our external walls. The next step after that is going to be to put in place or model in place the interior walls of our project. And they're going to be a little bit different from external walls because we want to have different parameters for this wall. And one of these major differences is going to be in terms of the thicknesses of these walls. So our external walls were of 200 mm thickness, and I want the internal walls to be 150 millimeter thick. So in this case, under the architecture tab, if I click on wall, I want to be able to come back here and properties, click on the drop down there, and I can be able to look for a wall that is of the same thickness that I want to use. So like here we have generic 150 mm millimeter thick masonry wall. I can click on that. So this wall is base constraint is at the ground floor, top constraint is up to, let's see, the roof level. So that is well set. So we start putting in place the internal walls, and there is one that runs from grid 3 here, from here to here, running all the way up to grid 7, and then moving back to that wall. And is from grid 3, yes. Here we have grid 5, grid 6, we have partitions there. So grid 5 and 6 is this, we have a partition. So make sure it's at the center here. Place that, and we have another wall there, like that. So the one that runs from this grid A6 runs from A6 to C6. So click on modify, select this, and drag up to this point where it is going to intersect with that wall. Click away to place it. And then we have a separation for this room in grid 4 that moves up to from grid D4, intersection of D4 to the intersection of B4. And that point is here. So you have the wall again selected, architectural, and it's from here to here. So that is it. So click away, escape. You'll have that wall placed, as you can see. So these walls are allowing us to create the various rooms that we're going to start using. The next step in this project is to create the doors that will allow us to access the various rooms in the building. So still that is available under the architecture tab. So under architecture tab, here you have door. Click on that to activate door. And then you can choose to load families, you can choose to load families. If you have a Revit family, which is an external, is stored in an external library, or you can use these ones that are available readily in your Revit installation. And we have single flash doors of various thicknesses and various sizes. So in this case, I can still use this one that is available here. So all I have to do is come to, so we have a wall and I want to place a door. All I need to do is bring the cursor to that wall. Then let's say I want this door to open towards the inside. I will use the tab key on the keyboard so that it's going to mirror it like that, or to flip it like that. Then I click to place it. That is my first door, which is giving me access from this point. It's going to be my entrance to inside the building. Then here, we're going to have a door that opens to that room. Here we'll have a door that opens to this room here. We have another one here, like that. So I'm using tab key on the keyboard to flip the door. You want to have access to this bedroom. Okay, from which point? From this point, we're going to open like this. I want to have a door here, opening to the inside like that. Click to place it, then click away. There is one opening from this like that. So you click to place it. Then we'll need to also have a door here. So this is going to be our kitchen. Then we'll need a door opening to the corridor to give us access from these two rooms to this other side of the building. But in this case, I want this to be an empty door opening. So I'm going to select it, click on load family. Then that is going to take me to the external libraries that I have. What I'm going to do is click on it and delete it. Then go back to architecture, components, click on load family. And the load family will have, let's say we use libraries, UK. Then we have doors here. I look for an internal door that is going to match the options that I want to use for that one. I want us to have an empty door opening. So in this case, we are going to go back to the architecture tab, select door, and then we'll have a single flash door selected here. So click on edit type under properties, And then I want us to duplicate this door so that we can further edit it. So here, where you have the type properties, click on duplicate, and then you're going to name these as empty. 915 by 2134. Click on OK. So when that is done, I want you to click on load family here, which takes you to the external library that we have. And this external library is where I'm going to locate this door. So I'm going to use this one, M double opening. Click on OK. Open. Then we are going to click OK. So this is the one that we have here, and I'm going to place it at this point. Click to place it. The Architecture tab, click on Modify. Click to select that door. In the Properties panel here, click on Edit Type, and you have the rough width here. You can change to 1200. Apply. Click OK, and you'll see that reflected in the plan. So we have access to all the rooms that we wanted to have. So the next point or the next step will be to put in place the windows. And these are also accessible under the Architecture tab. So under the Architecture tab, here I'll click on window. Then we have the M fixed window appearing here. If you click on edit type, you have options for loading families, and I want to go back to libraries. Then we have a US metric, and we have back to libraries. Let's use UK. We have Windows here. So see which one we are going to select. So you select that all bars. Windows SGL all bars. Click on open. But I want us to change dimensions here. So the height is going to be 1200 mm. The width is going to be 1400 mm. Like that. Click on OK. Then I'll place one of these windows here. Click to place. I'll have another one here. Here's another window here. Is also here we don't have a window, so it's at this point window. So this room has a window here and a window here. We also have another one here. You have a window at this point. So those ones are of the same size. But we have these two small rooms here that we also want to have their windows in place. So all you are supposed to do is go back to the Architecture tab and the Windows. Here you will click to select this fixed one. Select this one. Then insert it here and here. You can still go back to modify that. Select edit type. Then and in terms of width, here you can have 600. In terms of height, still you can have the same 600. Click on OK. That is going to update as necessary. So those are the windows. We've put the windows in place. I want us to have the various furniture and the other components for our project. I'll go to the Architecture tab again, and then here we'll click on Component. And when Component is clicked, So here under properties, you see we have a desk selected. So if you click on edit type, you are going to have under families here you have this desk, parking space, tree, and all that. But that is not what I want to use. So I'll click on edit type. It will bring me to type properties here. Then I click on load, which will allow me to go to the external libraries that are saved here in the UK. So I want to load table, which is under furniture. Sorry, I want to load the beds, which is under furniture. So click on beds, and you have these types. So which one is best suited for our project will be furniture bed 1. Click on open. There. Then here, when it loads, you have a twin bed selected. Click on OK. And I want us to place this bed, one of those beds in this room. So when it is like that, and you want to rotate it to the desired location, all you do is hit the tab key on your keyboard like that. You're going to have it rotate. So I can place one bed there. I can place another one here in this room. So those are going to be our bedrooms. So we'll have one there, and the last one will be at this point. These are the beds for those rooms. So we are going to have this as a bedroom, this as a bedroom, and this other one as a bedroom. So let's say this is going to be our entrance point here. So when we enter the building, the very first room here is going to be our sitting room, and we want to have some table and 2 sofa. So here under architecture tab, components, I'll click on place a component. So edit type, and then click on load, which is going to take me back to the external libraries. And under furniture, we have tables. So I can be able to choose from a list of these tables that is provided here. So in my case, I want to use not a coffee table. I want to use a rectangular dining table. Let's say that one. Click on OK. Click OK here, and then you can place it at the center of this position. So I want to rotate by tab key, by the space key on my keyboard, and that is going to be rotated as well. Then conveniently I can place this table there. Escape. Go back to component, edit type, load, and here I want to have, instead of a table, now that we have a table, I want to have some sofa. So I will go to sitting and select a sofa from here. Say we want, let's use this. Click on open when that is selected. Click OK. I want to place it here like that. Then click back to load family, and I want to have a bigger sofa. Let's say this one. Let's say we use this sofa. Click on open to load it to the project. Then we are going to place it here. So I want to space bar and rotate like that. Then we can move to place this at that point. Click on escape, and that is the first arrangement of furniture in that room, which is going to be our living room. As we move to the inside of that room, here is going to be the dining space, and we can load some components for the dining space, because here I only want to have a table and some chairs. So back to the architecture tab here, go back to modify. Should be the insert tab, yes. To the insert tab, here you have options for loading family. So click on load family, drop down button here, back to furniture. You have beds, some tables. Click on tables, and I want to see if we have some dining table with chairs. So let's keep on scrolling. So this is a conference, and this is a dining table with chairs. This one is rectangular shape. This one is round. I think we can use the round one. Click on open. Then it's going to allow us to place it here. Architecture tab, component, and then we can place it at this point. So click to place it, then escape so that that one will have been saved there. Then we can still Control S, continue saving our project as we work on it. And this part where we have these two small rooms here, these ones are going to be our washrooms, and I can go to the components here and load some families. And then this is going to take us to, I think we'll go to mechanical, MEP, and here we have general components. So here we have plumbing folder. So double click on the plumbing folder, and then you'll have architectural items here. So here you have fixtures such as bathtubs, drains, drinking fountains, showers, sinks, taps, toilet cubicles, urinals, and water closets. So here we have, I'm not interested in a toilet cubicle. I'm interested in water closets, as you can see. So I want to have a wall hang like this one, or this. So I'll choose this fixture, a wall WC cistern. Click on open. Then I want to place one at this point here. Then the other one is going to be placed at that other room. Wash and basins somewhere here. If I go to components, click on load family, and wash and basins are going to be found here under fixtures. I think we have, so under sinks, you have a small basin. You have lots of these options that you can choose from. And in this case, I think the one that is more interesting is sink, bathroom sink. Let's say this one. Yeah, let's use bathroom sink 1. Click on OK. And I want to place it here. So I'll have one here. Then the rest to the other side of the room will be placed there. Like that. Escape. But if you look at that arrangement, you have the doors opening towards that point, and that is not looking so well. I think we need to edit these doors by, yeah, like that. So just click on the door there when it is selected. You're going to use the space bar on your keyboard like that. You'll have that rotated to the other side. So at least it is now going to give us some space for us to be able to access those plumbing fixtures that we have put there. So that's how our building now looks like. We have the necessary components in place. The very last one here is going to be our kitchen sink. So this is going to be our kitchen. I think we go to components again, load family, under sinks. Let's try and look for a kitchen sink. So we have this double sink. I'll click on that, selected, and then want to place it here. at that point. So we have our sink in place. That is our kitchen sink in place. Alternatively, we can choose to have that sink around, and then we go to annotate. I think I want to use a line tool to create some region there, which is going to be for show our worktop. Let's say from here to that point, 600, move like that. Then from this point, escape. From this point up to there, we have 600, escape. We can connect these two. Then when that is done, I can choose to delete this, then select this and modify it back to that position. So in essence, if you look at the kitchen area, we have designated where we are going to have our worktop, and then we have a kitchen sink at that point. So that's how to do the interior furniture using the Revit components and families. We have been consistently modeling everything in 2D, and I've not appreciated how this project now looks in a 3-dimensional view. And I want us to go to view. At the top here, we have the view tab, and then we'll activate the 3D view so that we can see how our project looks like. So when 3D is turned on, this is a look at our project. Maybe I can use this scroll wheel so that it allows me to orbit through the project and see what we've created, what we've modeled in place. So basically that's what we have. The various rooms, the walls, the components, as you can see them from that point. And yes, continue modeling our project. So you see, Revit is a building information modeling software, the same as ArchiCAD. And what this means is that when you are modeling anything in one view, you're going to have the other views updating automatically. So as we were modeling in 2D here in the floor plan view, we had the 3D getting updated, and we have other 2D views such as these elevations. If you click on the elevations, you're going to see that we have some updates to these elevations. As you can see, that is the north elevation. That's how it looks like. We have the south elevations. These ones have just updated automatically. So when we create in 2D, the project is also getting updated in 3D views. So with that, I'm just going to close the elevations because that is not what I am working on. And we go the next, we can leave 3D open. So let's go to the next step here in our project. And I want to look at the architecture tab here. I want to put some room separators where we have like this big open space here that is being shared by our dining area and the sitting area. I want to use this room separator here. Click on room separator, and I'll draw from this to this wall. Click on escape so that we have separated these two rooms. Also want to put some room boundaries where we have this like that, and then we'll have another boundary at that point. But when we come back to putting the rooms and the room tags, so we'll have the spaces already created for us. So we'll have another boundary there and another room separator there. So that's it with the room separators. Let's go back to architecture tab. Here you have the rooms, which says create a room bounded by model elements such as walls, floors, ceilings, and separation lines. So the video there is trying to show you how you are going to place those rooms. So what we do is click on that to activate the room. And then I want to tag those elements as I place them. I'll start with this. When you bring it there, you see that it is taking the shape of that room. If you are pleased with that, just click to place it. Then we'll come to this room. Do the same with that. Click to place it. We have number 2. Let's have these washrooms here. And this other one. And then we have this bedroom. This small passage here. Also want to designate that as a room. We have at the far end here, we have the kitchen yard. This is going to be our kitchen yard. So designate that as a room. To the inside, we have this as our kitchen. It's going to be room number 8. Don't worry, we are going to rename everything so that they look well. We have this as our dining room. So place a room tag there. Come back to the living room, place a tag. Then we have the entrance area here. Place a tag. When you are done, just click away and you have those rooms in place. So what I want to do is select this, go to edit type, and here where it's where we have the graphics. Let me zoom so that you can see. Under type properties, where we have these type parameters down here, you have graphics for the project for the room tag, and in this case you have show room number as ticked. So I want to untick that, then click on OK. You are going to see that update in our 2D. So what I want to do is now come back and rename this one. So this is our kitchen yard, call it yard. And then can try to move towards the center like that. This is our kitchen. So type kitchen there. Try to move it a little bit towards the center like that. And this is our dining room. So I want to double click, type dining like that. I think I want to move this a little bit away from the table so that it is visible. This is going to be our living room. So I can just type living and then move it a little bit away from that, so we can have it there. So this other room is our entrance. Let's say we call it entry, and then we move it towards the center, and we have this as our bedroom number 1. So here we'll click and type bedroom 01, and I want to drag it to the center here. Bedroom 01. This is going to be a washroom. So I type WC and drag it to the center again, like that. The same with this other one. You'll also drag it to the correct position. Then this is going to be our passage. Me type pass. That's our passage. That point, I think, is placed well. So which other rooms? We have this as bedroom. Bedroom number 2. The last one here is our bedroom number 3. 03. So move it a little bit away from the bed, and you have it. So you have the rooms. Like if you are to take a look at that, now you know we have a bedroom here, we have the kitchen yard, we have the kitchen, we have our bedroom, a passage, we have a dining room, we have the washroom areas, we have the living room, bedroom, and the entry. So that's basically the various rooms that we have in it. So as we proceed, I want to do some customizations to both the internal and external walls. And what I'm going to do is select this wall here. When the properties panel here is active, I click on this. Is going to take me to the type properties here. You can see we are editing a 200 mm filled wall. So under type parameters in the construction structure, I click on edit, and then where we have this assembly here, I want to have this wall as concrete or stone. Let's try and see if we can find stone, or we can have concrete cast in place, concrete precast, brick, concrete lightweight, concrete. Let's have concrete masonry units as the core there, and then towards the exterior side, I want to insert this and then move it up to the exterior side. This is going to be a finish. It's going to be a finish, and this finish here, I want it to be plaster. So type here plaster. Don't know whether we have plaster. Let's say yes. Here we use gypsum wallboard, and this has a 15 mm thickness. Then we insert another one here and move it down to the inside, where we are going to have a finish the same as the other one. And we have plaster. We have render. No. So we have plaster board. This is going to be 15 mm. So here at the center we'll have 170. So this is going to be the structure of our wall assembly. So when I'm done, I'm going to click on OK. And then I come back to where we have the graphics. Here we have a coarse fill pattern. And I want to have this as a solid fill like that. And then this is going to be a darker shade. And then if I click on OK, you're going to see that get applied to our project. To select that, go to edit type and properties, and then we'll have this where we have coarse, that is in terms of graphics, coarse scale fill pattern. This is a diagonal arch here, and I want to put a solid fill. Click on OK and click on OK, and you see that also update in 2D so that there is a more contrast. If you look at where our walls are placed and other design elements in the building. So also, if you look at our grid elements, they are very bold in terms of color. They are going through the plan and then making it untidy. So one of these things you can do, because the main purpose of these grid lines was to enable us to position the walls in place, and we've already used them. If you don't want to keep them, you can select them and delete them. But in my case, I want to keep them for dimensioning purposes. And I will select these ones and try to change to a color that is a faint, a more less pronounced color. So if I click on that, it is going to activate grid properties here. Then I can click on edit type, where we have edit segment color here. I can click on that and look for one of these, let's say this gray, like that. And then we have a segment pattern. You have type. This is controlling the type of line that you are going to show. You're going to see in a 2D. So I think grid line here is okay because we've changed this color. It's going to have some effect on how these grids look on our plan. So it's, as you can see now, they are not that more pronounced. So we can be able to see our plan and the components in the plan way better. So the same with this dimension line here. I'll click on edit that. And one of the things I want to do with dimensions is change the font. Change the font, that is one thing. And the other one is change the color. So if you scroll down under type parameters here in color, we have, I want to have some blue shade in place. Let's say we have that. And then in terms of font, text font, here we have Arial in place. I want to change that to a favorite font that I use. So we have Enter. Put that in place, click OK. Let's have a look at the dimensions. So some bits of customizations, and I think that looks okay. So we are ready to go to the next phase of the project, which is modeling in place the slab, the ceiling, and the roof. So the ground slab for this structure is going to be an architectural floor, and that is accessed under Architecture tab. So if you click on the Architecture tab, here under Floor, there is this drop-down arrow here, and that allows you to create 4 types of floors. We have a floor architectural one, you have a floor structural, you have floor by face, and floor by slab edge. In this case, we want to create an architectural floor. So I'll click on floor architectural, and what that does is it's going to activate this modify tab, which allows us to create a floor boundary. And I want us to create this floor boundary using a line. So click on this line, that gets active, and you have the external outline of this building. That is where we are going to have the boundary for this floor. So just follow along with the external outline of the building, and we are going to create the floor boundary like this. Make sure you pick all the necessary points well until you get back to where you had started, and the boundary is going to get complete. So when that boundary is put in place, before we accept that floor to be formed, we need to go to the properties panel here, and you can see we have a generic floor of 400 millimeters selected. If you click on the drop down, you'll have other types here, such as 160 millimeter concrete with metal deck. We have wood hoist. So I think these are not the ones that I want to use, but in this case you can click on edit type here, where you have this generic 400 mm floor. Click on duplicate, so that maybe you can create 150 millimeter concrete floor. So click OK. Then under structure, you'll have the center here as 150. Let's say 150. Then we can insert this finish at the top here, which we can say, let's say we are going to use wood. softwood or timber, let's say oak flooring of like 25 mm going to be there. So at the bottom we don't have anything. So this slab total, let's say to put here concrete. Let's have concrete material there as cast in place gray concrete. So the total thickness of this floor is going to be 150 plus 25 millimeter. That is going to be 175 mm. So if I click on OK and click OK, you'll see here under the properties panel, our 150 mm concrete floor has been selected for our project. So now, because we are done with putting in place those parameters, all you can do is where we have this at the top here where we have this red X for cancelling the editing mode, and we have a green tick here for finishing editing mode. I want you to click on finish editing mode, and you will see our floor has been created. So if you click away, that's going to get lost. So for us to be able to appreciate how this looks, we can go back to the 3D window here and try to orbit. If you orbit, you'll see from the bottom of this building, we have a floor in place. You can change how this model looks by changing the details and the visual style, which in this case I'm going to have a shaded model, so that if you take a closer look at the project, this is going to be how it looks now in 3D. So you're able now to see the various colors and everything. Like that is the exterior part, the interior part of our building. So that is our model in 3D. So the slab, rather the floor, is now in place. Let's go back to the ground floor again. And in this case, we want to create the ceiling. So on the project browser, under floor plans, here we have the ceiling level. Click on the ceiling level, and this is going to be activated. This is how the ceiling level looks like. And we want to be able to model in place a ceiling for every room, because what happens is that ceiling is not going to be cutting through the walls. It's going to be constrained inside the wall boundaries that we have created here. So still, that one is also accessible under the architecture tab, and here we have ceiling. So if you click on that, you have the ceiling selected in place, and what we want to do is to sketch the outline of the ceiling. So this, as we're being told here, creates a ceiling based on selected walls or sketched lines. So we open a ceiling plan to sketch a ceiling, and you can sketch a ceiling by picking walls using the sketching tools or using the automatic ceiling tool. You sketch a specified distance above the level in which it resides. In the ceiling includes a grid, and the grid is centered in the room. So this is basically Autodesk trying to explain to us how to come up with a ceiling using this sketch mode. So I can select sketch there, and it's going to allow me to be able to create a ceiling boundary the same way we did with the floor. And one thing I want you to note is here under ceiling properties, we have a level selected as ceiling level. So because we are putting this under the ceiling level, we had created a ceiling level. We have offset height here as 2600. I want to change this to 0 because I want this to appear just right at the level that we have created. And then this is a compound ceiling of 600 by 1200 mm grid. If you try to look at the structure, you find that we have a ceiling tile and a structure at the top. I'm not interested in changing that as at now, but if you click on OK, you can be able to sketch the boundary lines for the ceilings in each room. And I have decided to start with this room, which in this case, that is where we are going to have our ceiling, like that. I'll come back to this room here, sketch the ceiling boundary, the same way I have done with the first room, because ceiling is going to get to go to the inside part of the building, constrained by the wall boundaries. Follow along and make sure that you are doing it correctly. So one is going to have a ceiling spanning all that full distance. And the last point where we have the passage here, we are also going to have a ceiling. And I've sketched the outline like that. So once you have the various ceiling boundaries created, all you have to do for you to place that ceiling now is to click on a finish editing mode, and you have your ceiling in place. We can go to the 3D view here, try to look at how this now looks in a three-dimensional view, and you can see we have our ceiling in place. That's okay. Let's go back to ground floor again. And in this case, because we've created our floor with our ceiling in place, I want us now to create the roof so that we have our model complete. So in this case, roof is going to be an architectural roof, because if we have a structural engineer in our project, is going to come up with the structural components of the roof structure and everything. So in this case, we are going to model an architectural roof, accessible and architecture. And then roof, we have options for. Here we have the roof. We have options for creating roof by footprint. We have options for creating roof by extrusion. We have roof by face, roof soffit. These are components. We have roof fascia and the roof gutter. In my case, I want to create roof by footprint. So I'm going to click on roof by footprint. It's going to ask me, you have created the roof on the lowest level. Would you like to move it to ground floor? To move it to have it tied to the roof level, and click on yes. We also get the modify boundary line for creating, or rather we get the modify tab activated, and in this case we can be able to create a boundary line for our roof. And I'm going to use a line here and start creating the boundaries. So this one is going to move up to there. This is going to move here. The same with let's have this moving to, I think we should get, yeah, right there. That point. Then I want it to move back to where we had started. That's going to close it that way. And if you look at the line, that means we have not given, we have not created any roof overhang for this project. So all I want to do is maybe offset these lines towards the outside by like 600 mm. That way we'll be able to also offset this by the same 600 here. And I also want to offset this towards this side by, that was 1300. Yes. And also offset this towards this side by 600. So I have 600 typed here. So in that case, we have a roof overhang. And if you just want to place that roof, you can click on Finish Editing Mode. And then you'll have the roof in place. So let's go to 3D window, see how that looks. So with that is our roof. Not the very best of what we intended to create, but in this case, we want to have a gable end here and a gable end to the other side, while this side and the opposite side are the ones that are supposed to be at an angle. So in this case, I can just click on that roof, and then I want to edit footprint. And then this footprint is going to take me back to here. So I'll click on this. And what that does is it defines roof slope under properties, and click that so that the roof slope is not being defined by that. And then also come back to the other side and untick that. Then we can come back here, select that, and select this other end. And then we'll have change like the pitch to be 22.5 degrees. Sorry, 22.5 degrees, like that. Then when we are done with the editing, we can finish edit mode, and you will see now our roof gets updated like that. And then we have, let's say first, so it's saving. Let's try to orbit, like at the front here, you have the roof like that, but there is an issue here because these walls and these other walls here are not connected to the roof. So how do I connect them to the roof to make sure that we're not having a space in between? All you do is click to select them, and then up here you have an option. Here you have an option under modify walls written here, attach top base or a detach top from base. So all I want to do is click on attach top base, and when that is done, I can click on the roof, and then you'll see that wall move up and attach itself. That will be the case with this wall, like that, and the same with that. Attach top to the base of that roof. Try to orbit around and select that, attach it to the base of that roof. Select this wall, attach it to the base of this roof, and select this, attach it to the base of this roof, and orbit to the back of the house. We have the same case here with these walls. So all you do is, so we'll repeat the same procedure, selecting this wall, attaching to the base of this roof. So you have the wall selected, click on attach, top to base, and that moves up. You have this, the same operation, and this other one here, you apply the same operation. So that in this case, if you try to orbit, you have our walls moving up well, connected to the roof. Then if you look at these windows here, I think they need to move up by, let's say we could have these as 1200. Let's have 1500 like that. Then have these as 1500 so that it moves up the same height as the other walls. So that is our 3D model. We've done the floor, we've done the ceiling, we've done the roof. And in the next phase of the development of the project, I want us to look at some bits of annotations really, in terms of putting tags, or rather tagging the windows and the doors, and putting dimensions in place. So just to appreciate the level of detail that we have reached for our project, you can see the 3D model that we've created. You can be able to appreciate the ceiling plan that we have. You can be able to appreciate the floor plan that we have created. And all these editings that we have been doing have been getting synchronized to other views, such as the building elevations that we have. Because if you click on the east elevation, you will see now that we have an elevation in place. And I can choose not to show this by selecting one of those grids, right clicking, and then you can see hide elements in view. Let's say we select all of them, because I want the elevation to be cleaner. Right click, say hide in view, hide those elements in view. So this is our east elevation. I also want to, so now, because all we are looking at from the elevation point is the roof level and the ceiling and the ground floor level. We have our east elevation, we have our north elevation in place also, getting updated automatically as we work on 2D and 3D. We have the south elevation, the same, and our west elevation also getting updated as we proceed with working on the rest of the 2D and 3D of our project. So we continue with the customizations of elevation views. And in this case, I have the west elevation open here. And all I want to do is select these grid lines, control, and then click on each of them individually, like that. And when all are selected, so right click, and I want you to hide this in view, and click on hide elements, so they get lost. And we have also this ceiling view, or rather ceiling level line, because we are not showing the ceiling in the elevation point. I want to hide it also, hide in view. And then we have our elevation looking a bit cleaner, like that. That's our west elevation. So when you're done with that, you can just close it. Do the same with the south elevation. Hide the ceiling level line. Select the grid lines. Hide them in this view. You'll have your elevation looking like that. You can do the same with the north elevation. So hide in view. Same thing with the grids. Hide, so that you have north elevation looking like that. You go to the east elevation, we had already customized that. It looks well. You can try to close it. You can close also the ceiling view, or rather the ceiling level. You have a 3D in place. Okay, so let's go back to the floor plan here. I want us to put some tags, and in this case we are going to for doors and windows. so that we can be able now to identify this with a linked quantity schedule for us to be able to know this is the window type and this is the number of the windows, this is the door type, this is the number of doors. So with this active, let us go to the Annotate tab, and under Annotate tab, where we have the tags here, I want to select this one, tag all. Click all objects in the current view, and then we have here door tags, and then we have a window tag here. Those are the ones that I want to use. The tag orientation is going to be horizontal, and we click on apply and click OK. And when we do that, we're going to see where we have a window. We have this tag with tag 19 showing this type of a window. We have this tagged as 10, the ones at this point, and then we have which ones? These are the windows. Then we have tags for the doors. So that is in place. The next thing I want to do is dimensions. And I'll go to the Annotate tab like that. I'll select the very first dimension type, which is aligned dimension, and I want to reference wall faces so that I can be able to select each opening or each element to be dimensioned individually. So in this case, already we have a dimension line in place for the grids. I want to do the openings, so I'll pick that point, pick that one. So it should be from here, yes. Then pick this and that by just clicking. When that turns blue, you click to pick the points. Then the external one here. Then we'll move this dimension up to that point. I want to have, click on modify. I want to move this upwards, so I'll drag them up to that point. Then I'll come back to my aligned dimensions, and I'll pick these wall thicknesses like that. That will be my other dimension, as you can see. So when I'm done with that point, I can move to this other face, do the same, select the openings, select all the openings. That is going to be our first dimension line with the openings. The second dimension line is going to be with thicknesses of the walls. And the third dimension line is going to be these grids that we've put in place, like that. So we have dimensions on both sides. We need to have dimensions here also. So I'm going to pick openings first. We have our openings first up to this point. That is going to be our first dimension line. The second is going to pick thicknesses of the walls. So we have the wall thicknesses taken care of. We have that and that. So every wall there is going to be dimensioned. Then we pick the last point and place this dimension line here. Click away to place it. So we have our dimensions like that. The last point, the last side is here. I want us to pick that. Pick this opening. go ahead and pick this other opening, then pick the last point here, which is going to form our first dimension line placed at that point. And the second will be thicknesses of these walls here. So pick every wall that you can see up to the last one here, and we place this dimension line at that point. Click away. The last one is going to be these grids. So I'm going to pick all of them and place this dimension line at that point. So if you look at our plan, let me save it. We have the door tags, the window tags, and the dimensions in place. So that's how to do the dimensions. I'm hoping at the end of this, I'll be able to create, or rather to upload these project files online so that we'll be able to download. I'm going to leave a link in the description of this video for you to follow. So don't worry about that. So as we wind up our tutorial, I want to show you a quick way of representing these rooms in a neat presentation format, what I am calling, or rather what Revit calls a color fill legend. So I want to have the various rooms, instead of having these names in place, we can have just colors, and then we have a color legend at some point here, so that we can be able to reference from the color legend and get to know what type of a room that. So let's get back to the architecture tab here. Under the architecture tab, we're going to see, let's go to annotate. So let's go to the annotate tab. At the end here, you are going to see color fill legend. So if you click on, if you put your mouse over this, you are going to see some descriptions that are given here. So color fill legend places a legend in a view to indicate the meaning of colors for rooms or areas. So you open up a floor plan view or a section to place a color fill legend. If you've not yet assigned a color scheme to the view, you will be prompted to select one. To create or modify a color scheme, use the edit scheme tool. So this is basically giving you information on how you are going to create this color legend. So all I want to do is click on that. And when I click, you see here it's telling me no color scheme assigned to view. So what you are going to do is place it there, and it's going to prompt you to choose the space type and color scheme. So here under space type, I want to use the rooms, and color scheme here, I want to have name. Yes, name. Then click on OK. So it's calculating and has put a room legend in place with the various colors, as you can see. Let me try to move it a little bit at this point. So if you go back to a floor plan view, you see we have the various rooms with the different colors, and that is what I wanted to have. So when we are done with that, maybe we can try to delete the room tags like that. So delete the tag. The rooms are still going to exist, but we'll have the tags deleted, so that instead of having this text in there, we are going to have the room legend. Okay, so our floor plan now looks like this. We have a room legend here, which this color points to bedroom 1. You can be able to see the color is this one. Bedroom 2, this color. bedroom 3 this color, and all these other ones. So let's say you want to edit anything in the room legend. All you do is click on it as we've done right now. At the top here you have edit scheme, which is going to open the various color schemes for us. And in terms of this, I want to have the WC in a completely different color. Let's say we have the black. Let's have this. Click OK. In terms of the fill, I want to have cross arch. This one, which looks like that. So if I click on apply and click OK, you'll see this as updated, where we have the WC areas, the same with what we have here. So I want to also change for the kitchen. So this is the kitchen. I want to have the color as blue. Let's have that blue, okay? And then instead of a solid fill, let's have a cross arch and apply that. Click OK. You'll see the same get updated here. So that's how to create a room legend color scheme for presentation of your drawing. So with that, I think we've managed to create our or rather to model our building in Revit. If I can just take you back to what we've created, we have this projects browser here, which shows us the various floor plans that we have. We have a ceiling level plan, we have a ground floor, we have a roof level and site. We have ceiling plans, 3D views, elevations, legends, schedules, and all those. And to be just to appreciate what we have, this is our floor plan, well laid out with everything in place. This is our 3D view of the project. You can be able to make more customizations to this, but for the purposes of explaining this concept to, because this is a beginner tutorial, for the purposes of explaining these concepts, this is what we've created as our 3D model. We have the various elevations already in place, and our east elevation, our north elevation, our south elevation, and the west elevation. So we've come to the end of our tutorial. So thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next videos. If you like this, please subscribe and share it with your friends. Thank you, and see you in the next video. Cheers.